So as I was showing you yesterday, now in chapter 2, verse 3 of Song of Solomon, listen how much the woman is enamored by the man and compares him to an apple tree in a forest, or apple trees in the forest, right? And listen to what she says at the end of verse 3. Like an apple tree among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the youths. I delight to sit in his shade, right? And his fruit is sweet to my mouth. So this is obviously a male, her lover she's talking about. So what part of his body would be considered his fruit? He's got eyes, ears, nose, mouth. There. um, two arms, two legs, right? A trunk. Which one would be the fruit, though, in her mouth, right? The penis, right? I guess, right? It's what's called ambiguously, right? Calling a certain part of his anatomy a fruit. Banana anyone? Banana anyone? And she picks as a tree, an apple tree. So there are two grapes in a banana, metaphorically speaking, as well. So, or two olive pits, right? Olive with a pit in it, or not, right? And it's in her mouth, right? Sounds like oral sex with the male. But worded ambiguously in the Hebrew, calling the male member a fruit. Now, the female is like a hole in the earth, right? Where a serpent makes his den, right? Do you get the metaphor? Or a worm makes its den, right? Now, the Bible doesn't say this in our modern language, but in a metaphor Hebrew language, right? It's not saying it directly like we would, right? But what it's describing sounds like a blowjob, maybe professionally, right? Between the female and the male, right? Then she said he brought me to the banquet room, right? And his banner of love was over me. Sustained me with raisin cakes. Now this is going back to probably something real. Refreshed me with apples, for I am faint with love. His left hand was under my head, and his right arm embraces me, right? I adjure you, O maidens of Jerusalem, by gazelle or by hind of the field. Do not wake or rouse love until it pleads. Hark, my beloved, there he comes, leaping over mountains, bounding over hills. My beloved is like a gazelle, or like a young stag. There he stands behind our wall, gazing through the window, peering through the lattice. My beloved spoke this to me. Arise, my darling, my fair one, come away, for now the winter is past. The rains are over and gone. The blossoms have appeared in the land. The time of pruning has come. The song of the turtle dove is heard in our land. Right? The green figs from on the fig tree, and the vines in blossom give off fragrance. Arise, my darling, my fair one, come away. Oh, my dove, in the cranny of the rocks, hidden by the cliff, let me see your face. Now, she also talks about kissing him on the mouth in chapter 1, right? Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet, and your face is comely. Catch us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyard, for our vineyard is in blossom. My beloved is mine, and I am his, who browses among the lilies when the day blows gently, and the shadows flee. Set out, my beloved, swift as a gazelle or a young stag, for the hills of spices, right? So, in Hebrew language, right, there's the fruit of the male's body, and then, I think it talks about an opening, right, somewhere. Let's see. Kind of browse over it. Let's see. Okay. Now in chapter 4, he's talking to the bride there, and again he points out her breast, which is Shadiach or Shadeach. Now, I think that has to do with your breast. That's why it has the ak at the end. I think Shadim is just two breasts in general. Shad is a breast suckling the child, right? And Shadeach or Shadei, again, both breasts, but and one has to do with him referring to her own breasts, right? And that of a woman, not a man, right? But like I pointed out in the Septuagint here, right, they add some breasts. Where in the Hebrew, it doesn't say breast like they say it in the Greek, right? Whew. Mm. Now he says, a garden lot is my own, my bride, a fountain locked, a sealed up spring. So 7 seals can also possibly mean 7 virgins, right? Your limbs are an orchard of pomegranates, and all luscious fruits. Of henna and of nard and saffron, fragrant reed and cinnamon, with all aromatic woods, myrrh and aloes, all the choice perfumes. You are a garden spring, a well of fresh water, a reel of Lebanon. Awake, O north wind, come, O south wind, blow upon my garden, that its perfume may spread. Let my beloved come to his garden and enjoy his luscious fruits. So it goes back to in fourth, right? Calling her a fruit, and then him a fruit, and then right, fruit, right? real fruit. I have come to my garden, my own, my bride. I have plucked my myrrh and spice, eaten my honey and honeycomb, drink my wine and my milk, eat, lovers, and drink deep of love. So this is, again, going back to drinking wine, milk, eating honey and honeycomb, right? And plucking myrrh and spice, right? And so it's, again, the male here, referring to the bride, right? I was asleep, but my heart was wakeful. Heart, my beloved, knocks. Let me in, my own, my darling, my faultless dove, for my head is drenched with dew, my locks with the damp of night. I had taken off my robe. Was I to don it again? Someone's ready. I had bathed my feet, which is why Jesus washed the disciples' feet, right? Was I to soil them again? Or get them dirty, right? My beloved took his hand off the latch, and my heart was stirred for him. I rose to let in my beloved, right? My hands dripped myrrh, my fingers flowing myrrh. Upon the handle of the bolt, open the door for my beloved, but my beloved had turned and gone, right? I was faint because of what he said. I sought but found him not. I called, but he did not answer. I met the watchmen who patrolled the town. They struck me, they bruised me, the guards of the wall, stripped me of my mantle. I adjure you, O daughters, O maidens of Jerusalem, right? If you meet my beloved, let him tell him this, that I am faint with love. How is your beloved better than another, O fairest of women? How is your beloved better than another, that you adjure us? My beloved is clear skinned and ruddy. Preeminent among 10,000. His head is finest gold. His locks are curled and black as a raven. His eyes are like doves, by water course, bathed in milk, set by a brimming pool. His cheeks are like beds of spices, banks of perfume. His lips are like lilies. They drop or drip flowing myrrh. With hands are rods of gold. His hands are rods of gold. Stubbed with brill, and his belly is a table of ivory, adorned with sapphires. His legs are like marble pillars set in sockets of fine gold. He is majestic in Lebanon, stately as the cedars, again going back to trees, right? His mouth is delicious, as a kiss, right? And all of him is delightful. Such is my beloved, such is my darling, O maidens of Jerusalem. So, back in 4, she talks about the door. In verse 6, right? Let's see. Okay. So ta ka tha path kata or T, which this is someone outside the door, I think, right? And da lathi is someone inside, right? I think in the Hebrew they have something for a word for someone outside the door who has to come in by the door, like Jesus did, the womb of the Virgin Mary, being the door, right? And that's a parable John didn't exactly explain, isn't it? Right. But does it mess with you because Jesus himself says he is the door too, right? Meaning having a masculine side and a feminine side, right? For the male and female are one in Christ Jesus, right? So in chapter 8, it again talks about a door. Her breast, right? So it's more of a question if she be a door. We will panel it in cedars. And it's Here, Daleth. Mm-hmm. Right. Here. He. Mm-hmm. Which is she. Mm-hmm. It looks like the im, the he. So that's supposed to mean, I guess, if she be a door, if door she, right? Kinda. Mm-hmm. So again, why is she the door, right? Or as a door? Mm-hmm. Again, the child comes out of the female, not the male, right? Unless you're a hermaphrodite, and then a male, I don't know, is crying in travail like a woman, right? For he's both. I know. So your problem is it refers to metaphoric doors, right? In the womb, right? And she's talking about also probably eventually having sex with him, right? As well as, his fruit being in her mouth, right? Well, like I said, does that have to do with the penis, right? Medically speaking, right? Or some other part of his anatomy? It's not the foot, is it? That's the fruit, right? Of his body, right? Can you stay in the truth, though? Nope, nope.